good to see you. Colin Fiore in the red chair. That'll be great. We're back here. It's a Monday. We're back in the game. Outdoor hockey officially wrapped in the National Hockey League. They're done with the outdoor games. Back to where it's meant to be played, indoors, with heating and pretzels. Okay? Did you know that it was today in 1875 the first ever organized indoor hockey game happened today in Montreal between members of the Victoria Skating Club. Before that, hockey was played outside with balls, without formal rules or without team sizes, as if we'd lost a goddamn war or something. But here we are in the space between the Olympics and the Paralympics, and so I feel comfortable saying this out loud now that we're Paralympics happen. Hashtag I am no longer winter. Okay. I know for the longest time it was like, we are winter. I'm not winter anymore. But winter is becoming us. Yes, spring is in the air. It's March in Bermuda. Extreme cold in places all over Canada. And while we have a right to complain, I just wanted to share this with you. It could be worse. And sometimes as a species, we like to see other people get smoked to help us feel better about ourselves. I feel badly for this fella in Philadelphia. You know, weather people are like, oh, look, let's stand outside. Oh, Snowplow, that's no fun, right? Steve Keeley is his name. Doing, oh, my Lord, look at all the snow. Another one, oh! How much you want to bet that when the camera operator put the camera down that reporter punched him in the face for not warning him? That's unbelievable. It's been a long time since the Oscars were over, but I do want to say congratulations to Jean-Marc Vallée. His film Dallas Buyers Club wonderfully represented on stage last night. It was amazing. So congrats to Jean-Marc Vallée and everybody who worked on that. We'll talk Matthew McConaughey, Quebec, and Russia. But first, where are my ladies at? Let's deal with the day. Okay, listen. And I want to talk about the ladies thing. When things like the Oscars happen, we forget about some of the more important things going on out there. And I mean, we, like the media, sometimes gets overloaded with, oh my God, look, glitz and the glamour. And not one winner yesterday mentioned on stage one of the most important things that was going on in the world yesterday, which kind of shows how out of touch celebrities can be with. So I will mention it. Where they fail, I will mention it. Yesterday was John Bon Jovi's birthday. And it was also Chris Martin from Coldplay's birthday. So your ladies, you're welcome. You're welcome. Now it's March the 3rd, 5 days away from the 8th, right? So take that math, which means the 8th is International Women's Day. That's what's coming up. We know in Canada that we do all right, not perfect. Still underrepresentation in politics, still underrepresentation in corporate boardrooms, grossly underrepresented in the Canadian Lumberjacks Association of Canada. Is there a Lumberjills Association? Maybe there are. I was going to say they're underrepresented in Movember, but the truth is women are very supportive of that one. This year, though, much of the attention was paid to our rival for America's crude and oily heart, Saudi Arabia. And Twitter and Facebook and channels and shows like ourselves talking a lot about the ban that women can't drive in Saudi Arabia and the women challenging that ban. Well, there's more to it. Literally, they actually have to ask their men and their families for permission to do anything. In Saudi Arabia, you need to ask permission to get a passport, have a medical procedure done. That's the worst. You have to ask somebody to get a medical. You want to go to the mall, you have to get an okay from a male guardian. Well, this year, for International Women's Day, prominent Saudi women will deliver a petition to the government asking for an end to the absolute power of men over women, which is very promising. Also, a committee has been established to study the criteria for nominating women to run for municipal councils. Also, a very significant move. So I propose that cities all across this fine land of ours, we show our solidarity by flying flags from our city halls on the 8th, marking the day for International Women's Day, and then we can all sit back and watch Rob Ford try to take those ones down. That would be the best. Now, the West talks a big game, you know, with Saudi Arabia. Like, oh, human rights, human rights. But they're more than happy to crawl into bed with them, just like our complicated relationship with another country that we're totally in bed with. Well, we're not in bed with them in that sexist kind of James Bond and a hot Soviet ex-spy kind of way, but it's sort of similar. I'm talking about Russia. The West loves to condemn Russia, but happy to do the banking for the oligarchs, and happy to take all the Russian oil and gas, and happy to take all those nesting dolls. Just me, isn't it? I have a lot of Russian. I don't. Let's face facts. It's hard to know what is going to happen with the situation in Ukraine, but it's important to follow it. So go to Strombo.com. We put some really, really interesting historical and political context for you there, right? So you can get boned up on the topic. We don't know what's going to happen there, but what we do know is somehow Mitt Romney looks smarter than President Obama.
Months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia. Not Al-Qaeda, you said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back because, you know, the Cold War's been over for 20 years.
Russia, I indicated, is a geopolitical foe. Not a,
Number one.
Excuse me. It's a geopolitical foe, and I said in the same paragraph, I said, and Iran is the greatest national security threat we face. Russia does continue to battle us in the UN time and time again. I have clear eyes on this. I'm not going to wear rose-colored glasses when it comes to Russia or Mr. Putin.
I wonder how many Americans are apathetic, thinking maybe I should have voted for that guy who looks like the guy from Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. What's his name? Army of Darkness guy? That's what it looks like. I want to keep this democracy and political self-determination train rolling if we can. Next stop, New France, home of Bombardier, where they literally do make trains. Rumblings about a possible snap election coming up in this glorious province of Quebec. All sides are gearing up for a call likely in the next week. Pauline Marois and her Parti Québécois looking for a majority. They've been pretty clear that if they get it, they're going to be putting sovereignty back on the front burner. It's called a white paper. A white paper. Makes me uncomfortable, the fact they call it a white paper. What with their policies? A white paper on Quebec's future was promised back in February. And I don't want to play Captain Crystal Ball or whatever, but if I were a strategist, a PQ strategist, you make a possible referendum move while the Conservatives are still in office. They're wildly unpopular in Quebec, as opposed to either of the two popular-ish Quebecois federalists. And I'm sure the Quebec chief of police would be more than happy to perp walk the prime minister out of the new country. I mean, it would be... Yeah. Can I just say, leave it out, can I just say, hold on. We may or may not have photoshopped the police hat into that picture, but we didn't Photoshop the rest of that picture. That pat on the back and that rather uncomfortable look from the prime minister does look like a bit of a perp walk. And I don't want to put even the phrase separate Quebec out into the universe because Rhonda Byrne would be very cross with me. But if they did, A, I would miss them. B, pay us back part of the debt. And C, yes, you can have a little strip near the St. Lawrence, and the rest should go back to the First Nations communities who rightly deserve them, with one exception. 500 square kilometers or less, we'd like to keep Montreal, if that's okay with you. I'd like to keep Montreal. It's a place that's important. Look, we want to keep it all, and this is way above our pay grade. We see what happens in Quebec if they can figure out a scenario where it all could work. And I am no warmonger. I'm on the record as not being a warmonger. I'm also on the record as not being a pacifist. So if you, on any level, decide to change the name of the Montreal Canadiens, I am going to drive the first tank across that bridge, okay? I will drive that first tank. Here are my keys to the tank. It would be way cooler if there was a close-up and you could see what it is. There we go. It's waiting downstairs. It's all fueled up with Alberta oil. Jason Kenney's driving. Don't get any ideas. That's your debrief.